Hey, you guys, let's go ahead and get started with a reading. If you guys did not have a chance to go back and watch yesterday's reading, I definitely would. The people have spoken, and the card spoke yesterday and said Trump would be the winner, and so it is. Even if people are pissed off about that, they're not happy, it really doesn't matter because the universe has spoken. It was in the energy, it was in his chart to win, and regardless of people's feelings, just like it was in Biden's chart to supposedly win, that's also debatable, but we did have to have that last 4 years in order to see things the way that we see them now. And it was all part of the awakening. And now we are coming out of the age of Pisces, the age of deception, the age of shattered illusions. And yes, people's illusions have definitely been shattered. Come to the edge, it says. Come to the edge. It reminds me of the Fool card, taking that leap of faith into the unknown. And we've got a higher power that is guiding all of this right now as we speak. A higher power has spoken. That's what we just said. These are messages from our spirit guides, angels, and ancestors. What other messages do you have? Yep, it was fated. It was fated. Just like I said, that's confirmation. And now we can breathe. All right, now we can breathe. We are in now still, though, we are still in between worlds right now. We are walking out of the old world. And I'll tell you, the last 4 years have been hell on everybody. And anybody who's saying, oh, I'm great, is a liar. Okay, you're a liar. Bullshit. Are you living off of your savings right now? Have you been fired from your job? Have you been discriminated for not putting bullshit into your body? Have you like been told that you're racist, right? That you're garbage, that you're a piece of shit? Well, here's the deal. All of that finally came to a head, and the universe didn't get it wrong. Even when they put Biden in, they didn't get it wrong. Again, we needed to go through that experience, but we're coming out of a dark phase, and everybody, I feel like it's almost like they can see the light at the end of the tunnel now. Now, will it go through, the way that we all expect it to? Probably not, because there's still a lot of things that have to work themselves through. But for the time being, just so you know, there was a higher power. There was a higher power leading all of this. On a personal note, I feel like, again, this is just about relaxing, relaxing a little bit. You are in between worlds right now, as we all are as a collective. Everybody's in between, whether you're, coming out of being unemployed and now you're employed, if you're coming out of not a crappy relationship and now you're coming into being single, or you've been single and lonely and now you're coming into a new relationship, or wherever you've been living, now you're being guided to a new place of living. So it's like, okay, there's this light at the end of the tunnel. For some of you, you've already taken that first step forward. Okay, you've taken that first step forward, and you're just allowing the universe to guide you in whatever is fated and destined along your journey. Just know that you're going to be able to breathe. Okay, so my suggestion is sit down, meditate. I feel like for a lot of people, their wishes are about ready to come true. For some of you, your wish did come true, and you are being guided and led I, by a higher power that is really here watching over you. Wow, that card just came out and it says it's time to release negativity. Um, you know, there's that, and that's what we're doing is we're walking away from all the negativity and all the bullshit and the drama. And now it's time to get serious. All right. And it says, believe in the impossible. And it shows up right underneath the higher power. God says, believe in me. Universe says, believe in me. I've got the key to unlock your highest potential. And look at that keyhole right there on their third eye. So spirit knew, I think a lot of people knew that, things couldn't keep going down the way that they've been going down. And this also goes on in your life. For some of you, it's like you're in a negative situation. You're fighting, you're arguing with people for no reason, at work, at home, whatever. Confidence is your key to success. This card came out yesterday when I called Trump, and it sits right underneath the fates. It was fated. It was destined that he did become president. He's a Leo rising, by the way. And JD Vance is actually a Leo rising, Leo sun. So that would also put them into that position because Leo is the king, it's the queen. And so it also, um, It's about, staying confident too. Yeah, a fiery climax approaches. It's almost like I can't breathe until this happens. I can't breathe until I finally make the move. And trust me, it's happening for you. Bottom of the deck, funny, we have Scorpio, Scorpio. We are in Scorpio season. We just had that new moon in Scorpio, and it says, work through your fears. Work through your fears. You're coming out of whatever has been scaring you. We've been in between worlds, and I did say there's been something scary, something confusing, something that it's been hard to really, see the forest through the trees. And I feel like a lot of you are going to be able to do that now because you're going to be working through those fears. There is some powerful changes, powerful changes. Please don't forget that Trump was actually born on an eclipse. Okay. There was an eclipse on Trump's head when he was born, a solar eclipse. That is powerful. Um, so just FYI, you may, like I said, you may not like the outcome, but that's just kind of how the cookie crumbles. I hate to say it like that. Not everybody's always going to be happy about the choices that are made, but the universe doesn't get it wrong. The universe doesn't get it wrong. You know, um, and listen, this isn't me taking sides. This is also, we are bringing up big topics right now. We have Uranus and Taurus, which has been there since 2017, which has been bringing up our food and, processed foods and the poison in our foods. It's been bringing up our health. Our health is, shit because of the foods. And then why? Because also the water that we're drinking is poisoned. And the only person that has been backing that whole situation is RFK. So wherever RFK goes, is what follows. So if he's backing one person, that's who I would back because of those topics. You think about this and they're always bringing up the abortion, abortion. Every time an election comes around, it's all about abortion. That's the only talking point that these politicians ever have is about abortion. I was happy to hear somebody finally talking about, the water and the food and the pharmaceutical industry. That is something that's never been talked about, and not even by Trump in the past. He was president for 4 years. And so for me, again, if I was to have voted, I would have voted RFK only because he's using the talking points that is important to me. And because he dropped out of the race and backed Trump, that is how I knew, because of astrological aspects that are literally have been bringing this up to the forefront for quite a while. Now we have the North Node going into Pisces. We just had the first set of eclipses, and then it fully moves into Pisces in January, which will be Virgo Pisces access, which is actually what talks about our health industry. It's about the health industry. Virgo rules Western medicine, and Pisces rules like psychedelics and MDMA and, things that are what is a ketamine. Okay, you're going to see a lot more of that coming to the surface, but that's because Pisces rules, these other, areas that are not so regulated, if that makes sense to you. Okay, Pisces can, it rules mental health. And because we also have Jupiter in Gemini, that is a major topic of discussion, and that is not something that she was talking about at all. So these are going to get brought to the forefront, and I'm excited about that. I have confidence that, that this was fated the way that it was supposed to. But like I said, I also have confidence to know that the last 4 years of what we've been through was also fated for us to see. And that was a massive awakening. And that really did help a lot of people understand and put things into perspective that people were too afraid to look at. And now it's like you're going to have no choice but to face it. You see how these two are very bold, and they are looking like dead on, and they are ready to go. All right. So the fates have spoken, the gods have spoken, and that is the way things are going to be. So spirit says, believe in the impossible now. I do feel like a lot of people have a lot more hope and optimism. I think things have been very, very scary for a very long time about the way that our economy has been going, about the way that, the censorship has been going. And again, like I said, for me, it's all about our food, our water, our air. Don't forget our air, the remineralizing the dirt, bringing jobs back to the United States of America, and not out, everywhere else is benefiting while we're over here sanctuary cities for everyone. But where's our sanctuary city when our government has proven to turn its back on us and has proven that they're not there for us? Remember, I live in Hawaii. I know what happened in Lahaina, and it's not what the news is telling you guys. And people are still not getting helped, and we still have a major housing shortage, and we had major food shortages, and these people didn't get the help. They got $750 per family. And get this, they had to actually qualify for that. They had to qualify. And if they didn't qualify, they didn't get the money. So where's the qualifications? $750 for a family of four. Or, that, I mean, it's barely enough to even buy, groceries for a month in Hawaii, for just one person, two people at max, if you're really, if you think about it, right? But at the end of the day, I feel like those are all things that we needed to really look at when we were making these decisions, and it was funny because my niece called this morning and she was like, Auntie Peace, I have a crisis. And I'm like, what? And she goes, I voted yesterday. And I said, okay, well, what's your crisis? And she was like, well, she didn't win. And I said, okay, well, why did you vote the way that you voted? And she goes, well, I don't want Trump to be a dictator. I said, is that the only reason why? And she said, yeah. And I said, you do realize he was in for 4 years already. Was he a dictator then? And she was like, well, no. And I said, so all of a sudden now he gets another 4 years. That's what happens. Come on. And so that was literally her only talking point, and it's because of a narrative. Well, now with Saturn and excuse me, Neptune going into Aries in the next year or two, goes in 2025, transits back into Pisces. That rules the news media. And when we have the news media and we have Neptune, which rules the media, okay, social media, um, you know, um, CNN, Fox News, all of that, we're not getting the story. We're getting a narrative that they are pushing, that they are brainwashing, which also shows, because Neptune being at that 29 degree, that the news no longer has the power over the people. The people have turned off the television and said, it's tale of vision, and I'm done listening to this. I'm going to make my own decision, and I'm going to go after it. The people who are listening to the mainstream media, those people are still being brainwashed because they also believe that the government is here to save them. And I'm sorry, but that's just not the case. Okay. And history has shown that throughout the test of time. Now, with that said, I do feel like with, Neptune and Saturn going to conjunct in 2026 in Aries, this is where we will finally get the truth of the news and not some watered down version of, because Aries, I'm an Aries ascendant. We do have Aries right here. And Aries is like straightforward. This is how it is. Facts don't care about your fucking feelings. Okay. And so the facts are the facts. This is what's going on. There's no reason to excuse me, candy coat it. It just is. And that's what you're going to see, the contrast of Neptune in Aries compared to Neptune in Pisces, which was spinning this web of lies and trying to sell sell ice to an Eskimo, right? So with that said, again, this is about, I feel like a lot of people, in fact, you know what I did yesterday? It was very random. I was down here recording yesterday's YouTube video, and all of a sudden I just got this overwhelming wrap it up and go and just start driving. You need to go down to Painted Church Road. And I'm like, okay. So I packed up all my stuff. I got into my car and I took off to Painted Church Road. And all of a sudden, randomly, which would have never been like me. And what's even funnier is a girlfriend of mine called and asked me if I wanted to meet her at the Buddhist temple. And I was like, that's random. But I ended up at the Painted Church. And it was really crazy because when I went in, like, I'm not a church person, but I love churches. Just so you know, like, I love churches. I love what their representation is supposed to be, not the representation of what they are now. Which is an indoctrination station, if you ask me. Um, with that said, I went into this church and I ended up sitting on one side of the church. And I remember just sitting there, and all of a sudden the guy started talking and he said, where you sit is going to matter in this conversation. And he started pointing out the paintings on the wall on the one side where I sat, where it was like overcoming the devil and overcoming evil and like literally living in euphoria and God's kingdom on one side. And if you were sitting on the side where I was, and I just randomly picked the side, I didn't even look at the paintings, I just came in and sat down to listen to what he had to say. If you sat on the other side, you wouldn't have been able to see Jesus over the steeple. Okay. And on the other side, it was basically a hell of people's own making, which is exactly what's being shown here through these Scorpio cards. It's like working through those fears, working through evil, working through temptation, like not succumbing to, all of this like evilness that has been so evident. Like you can't even not. I mean, we got a lot of reptilians out here that are showing who they truly are, and people are choosing to turn a blind eye. Well, you can't. So when he started talking about all the paintings and how they were set up, and he was like, and he had said earlier, depending on where you sat in this church, tells me a lot about who you are, even if you didn't even know it. And he looks at me and he goes, he goes, look at that cross right there. He goes, do you see Jesus anywhere? And no joke, you could actually see Jesus on my side peeking over the cross. And I was so dumbfounded by it, but it made a lot of sense. And when I saw that, I instantly got this overwhelming feeling like I need to go out and pray. So I went out and I don't, I'm not much of a prayer, person, but I did. I went out and I prayed, and um I prayed for the best and highest good for all people, not just for one side over the other, but for all people. And I don't know if you can see this, but I don't know. Yeah, you're not going to be able to see it. It's too dark. Hold on. Let me see if I can brighten it up. Okay. So if you look at this picture, okay, I was sitting in the pew back here. If you look at this picture, can you see Jesus? See him poking? Yeah, you can see him here, but can you see him here? And on the other side of the church, you couldn't see him at all. That was the crazy spot. It was just absolutely amazing. Anyway, I went out, I prayed for the best and highest good for all people. And this is what turned out. And I did call it. And listen, I don't think that Trump is our Lord and Savior by any means, but there's a reason why the universe puts certain people onto our path. And it's to bring and raise awareness for certain aspects that maybe have been hidden to us. And maybe for sometimes it's hard for us to believe that people can be so evil and do such unnecessary things to people that they don't even know it's somebody's mother or brother or aunt or uncle or a sister, you know or somebody's cousin or best friend. And it's just really sad that the way that things have been. But I do feel like for a lot of people, we can actually breathe a sigh of relief. And I think that that's what we really needed. So there's still some fears that are coming to the surface, because I don't think that they're going to let this go as easily as they did. I do feel like there is more to come because again, we do have Mars in going retrograde. And I do feel like there is more evil out there that is going to, I mean, you're gonna see it. So I don't believe that everybody is happy over the situation, but just know that it is necessary, and it was in his natal chart. If I can read natal charts and I can say, hey, you're gonna get this job, but you're not gonna get it for like another few weeks, and it's in your energy, and I'm looking at your chart to do so, what makes you think that astrologers can't do that when we're looking at a president's chart, even if you don't like them? So keep that in mind, you guys. Anyway, again, whatever was fated happened. And it's somehow, some way, you're going to have to embrace that change. We've been through a lot of changes. And again, this is just the beginning. Like we just started a 100-year cycle back in 2020. Don't think that this is the end all. There's still more to come. Anyway, you guys, I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. If you are interested in a personal reading, all my information's in the description box down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And hopefully I'll see you again later. Take care.